Welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm going to give you a little overview of my collection I have right now for my Acuras. Over here, well, I'm going to give you a little overview and then also maybe talk about my future plans for adding to my collection. But to start off, over here I have my blue Acura CL Type S. Year on this is a 2003. The motor inside is a 3.2 liter V6 J series J32. Interesting about this is they made the CLs for 3 years, 2001 to 2003. They only made the one that I have, 2003, with the 6-speed manual in the last year. The 2001 and 2002 models were not given, there was no model that was given a 6-speed manual. The other things that they changed on this 2003 model as opposed to the previous 2 years is this headlight here. If you look underneath, this is, the inside is black. The older models were silver. So that's actually a better look in my opinion. It has black headlights. So that just gives it a little bit more of a sporty, aggressive look. I like that. And then also the tail lights. They changed the tail lights up. It's one way you can differentiate from the older 2 models to the newer models. You got the white top there, where the 2001 and 2002 was just solid red. They did not have those tail lights. So they did a little bit of a I mean, that's really all they did, but a little bit of a refresh with the 2003 models. And then they gave 2,800 of these 2003 Type S's a 6-speed manual transmission. And 800 of them came with navigation, and that's mine. I have navigation in this car, so stock navigation. But yeah, that's my Acura CL. It's got 170,000 miles on it, roughly. And it's the dark blue, which is, I think, preferably for me, that would be the top choice. And then I got here my 2010 Acura TL super handling all-wheel drive, also a 6-speed manual transmission. This comes with the J37 motor, which is a 3.7 liter V6. That one has 260 horsepower, 232 foot-pounds of torque. This one's got 305 horsepower, 273 foot-pounds of torque, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, limited slip differential on this one. And this one's got all-wheel drive with torque vectoring, so it can send power to anywhere you want and where it needs on each wheel. So very, I've talked about it in some of my other videos, very amazing all-wheel drive system. Probably one of the best that's out there in this market or in this range. Obviously higher end like supercars are going to probably do a lot better than this, but for where this is at and in its league, this is a very, very good all-wheel drive system. Then we have here my 1995, last year they made this model, Acura Legend L model. They have an LS as well, but this one here is also a 6-speed manual. It's got the Type 2 motor in it, so 230 horsepower with 205 pounds-feet of torque. They only made the 6-speed versions from 93 to 95. The body is from 91 to 95. They look like this from 91 to 95, but they only had the 6-speed produced in 93 to 95, the last 2 years. And there are some 4-door sedans that got the 6-speed as well, which maybe one day I'd like to own one of those as well. But I really like the look of these Legends, this mid-90 Legends. It's just beautiful design, especially this back 3/4 view. Look at that. That is a good looking car, and probably one of the better designs Acura's ever made, I mean, in my opinion, throughout the decades. This here, this 2010 TL, they've had this body style was from 2009 to 2014. 2010 to 2014 is the only models that they made with the 6-speed. The original year that came out, the no super handling all-wheel drives had the 6-speed in 2009. They didn't introduce that until 2010. Then they made it till the final year of 2014. They did give it a refresh in 2012. So this is the before refresh look. I'll tell you one thing, the back of this car looks better in my opinion than the refresh 2012. It's less aggressive. The 2012 look is less aggressive than the 2010. Biggest thing, this is a dual exhaust, obviously. if you look at it, it looks like it's got, they kind of give it almost like a quad tip look because they have that indentation on both of them. Where the newer one, they just make it flat across, kind of more similar to that. It's still just as wide, but flat across. And then also, they changed up the tail reflectors. They don't look as aggressive. I think they're just flat across. I mean, I'll maybe put a picture up here of what that other one looks like. To me, it just doesn't look as aggressive as this. Not all of them came with the mud flaps. That also looks more sporty to me. But then also the refresh that they gave, this 2010 model, a lot of people complained about, was the grille. Very big grille, sticks up over the light. So it's not, it comes up. It looked too big to a lot of people. So there was a lot of complaints about that. Me personally, especially with the pearl white car, the grille is not as noticeable. It's not as, doesn't stick out as much with the pearl white. Like the other colors it comes with, like if it was black, you might notice it a little bit more because the contrast, but with the pearl white, it hides it well. But yeah, so the refresh model, they hacked it down to here and made it in line with the front hood. There's still a disconnect. The hood's still back there, but the grille is taken back a little bit. So that's what they did. But yeah, this is my collection right now. Going forward, what I would like to add to my collection would be, I think the first thing I want to do is add an Acura TL Type S 6-speed manual. From 07 to 08, they made a 6-speed manual Type S. Last Type S that existed before now their new TLX that they're finally coming on, the MDX with the Type S. But yeah, I'd like to get either a black or dark blue would be the perfect, like this Acura TL Type S. That's what I'm kind of been keeping my eye out. That's what my next purchase I think is going to be. And then also I want to pick up an Acura NSX, probably early 90s original model with the flip headlights. I mean, I like the newer one with the non-flip headlights as well. But I think just I will probably get an earlier 90s one to start out, and then maybe we'll go from there. But that's what I want to add to the collection eventually. If I can find one, I might want to try to get a Type R Integra as well. But those are extraordinarily hard to find, especially in good condition. So that's kind of just if I can find one, obviously. But yeah, this is the collection I have right now. Really love these cars. I'll pop the hoods and we can take a look at the insides, and yeah, go from there. So this is what the Legend looks like under the hood. It is that Type 2 motor. It's got the badge right here. Very well preserved and very clean. I intend to keep it that way. I got it just this last December. And maintenance records from the person I bought it. It had a number of owners, but lots of maintenance records on it. It's obviously been well kept. But this is that Type 2 motor with the 230 horsepower, like I mentioned earlier. It's got 205 pounds-feet of torque. It's pretty peppy for its time. I love this. This is a great example of a mid-90s Acura. Beautiful design. Love the look at these Legends. Probably one of the better designs they've had throughout the decades. Probably one of the best, actually. I really liked this design. And as you can see here too, the motor here is mounted a little differently. It's mounted longitudinal, which is interesting that they did that. They did that with the Vigor as well, the 5-cylinder Vigor that they were making in the mid-90s. They mounted it this way. You do lose some power to the wheels because you're having to change the direction of the rotation to rotate this way. So you gotta, there's more moving parts to have to used in order to get it moving this way. So, I mean, most of the time when you see an engine like that, that means it's going to be rear-wheel drive, because it's easier to keep the engine spinning this way and have a drive shaft go back spinning this way, and then you have a differential in the back. That differential translates or changes the direction of the spinning to this way, and then you only have 2 points of transfer. Whereas like this one here, this one's transverse, this one's transverse. This is going to be easier because your engine's spinning this way, you have your transmission connects to the wheels still spinning this way. You're not having to change directions to get that power to the wheels, if that makes sense. But yeah, so weird that they did that, lose a little bit of power to the wheels. Still pretty powerful though for a 230 horsepower car. It feels good. It's definitely not underpowered. But this is what the TL looks like under the hood. They got all these plastic covers on it to kind of cover it all up. Very easy to remove though if you need to do any new work on it. They just pop right up. It's not a big deal. But it does kind of cover it and give it a very clean look. This one's right around 103,000 miles on it. I just talked to my local dealership. I'm probably going to get a timing belt and water pump replacement done, because it's about time. It hasn't been done on this car yet. It does have a new clutch. I had the place I got it from put in a brand new clutch for me. But yeah, been doing the oil changes, full synthetic. I actually have the next one coming up next week, actually, at the dealer. So, yeah, this is the 3.7 liter. It has 273 foot-pounds of torque, or pounds-feet of torque. Very, very powerful, very, very enjoyable to drive too. I love the torque vectoring on this car. I've talked about it in some of the other videos. It does very well through corners and things like that. It really makes the car feel way lighter than it really is. I think the curb weight on this car is about 3,800 pounds. So it's decently heavy, but the all-wheel drive system and the torque vectoring makes it feel nimble and light. So really like how Acura has done their job on that. And then this is my 3.2 liter J series, J32. This is what this looks like under the hood. Now, it's not entirely stock. As you can see, these are Comtech headers that are on there. Definitely gives it a better throttle response and definitely a little bit more power. I would say this thing at the crank probably right now is somewhere around, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but it stocks 260. Maybe it's closer to 280 to 290, depending on how much those Comtech headers give you horsepower. I think the biggest thing you're going to notice is like throttle response and stuff like that. I do have a completely straight pipe cat for instead of a catalytic converter. So that also, I don't really know how much horsepower that's going to give it, but it does feel a little bit peppier with that too. But this car I've really liked over the years. I've had it since 2014 and it's been solid. I replaced the clutch on it myself. The clutch went out. But you know, other than the dual mass flywheel that you have to put in it, that was the only thing that was kind of spendy to get replaced on it, because those aren't cheap. But it's been really good. As you can see, I have a little negative disconnect there because I don't drive it a whole lot, and it does have a small draw on it, which is frustrating because it kills the battery. If you know, within a couple weeks it'll die. I try to drive this one weekly as well, just so I'm driving it. I love these cars. I definitely don't want them to just sit and not be driven at all. But yeah,